So Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Fox have officially unveiled their potential sports streaming joint venture. This was announced back in February. This was one of like several big announcements that Disney made ahead of its like big proxy battle that was going to be happening in April. Part of these big announcements to kind of like reassure shareholders, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. The company's going in the right direction, whatever, right? So it is now going to be titled, because originally it was unnamed, it was untitled. It is now going to be officially titled Venu Sports, like Venue, the place without the E, obviously. And I'm over-explaining that because a lot of the press releases made it seem like it was like this revolutionary. It's like, we're naming it Venue after the places sports fans like to go. I'm like, no shit, right? So pronounced like Venue. Kind of wish it was Spooloo. That was like the name the press and the media gave it, because it's kind of like a sports version of Hulu, which itself was like a joint venture between a bunch of different companies when that first came out. So I kind of liked Spooloo. I got used to calling it that in my head, but Venu Sports is fine. So this is going to be a huge deal for sports consumption in general, but especially for this idea of moving traditional sports broadcast to streaming, right? So it's going to combine the sports offerings from all three of those companies in one dedicated app. And those services include ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SCCN, ACCN, ESPN News, ABC, Fox, FS1, FS2, Big Ten Network, TNT, TBS, and True TV. That's a lot of stuff. Notably, though, it does not include NBC Universal or Paramount, so there won't be any Olympics on this. It'll have limited NFL offerings. So I think like the big NFL games, like on Sunday night, I think that might be I forget which one of those it is, but I think it's Paramount, because I think it would be on CBS. So it's not going to have those notably, but I mean, that could change. Maybe they'll get roped into it later, but for right now, I mean, that's still a lot of content. Depending on what kind of sports fan you are, that could basically satisfy all your needs right there, right? We have a quote here from Pete Destad, who's the CEO of this new venture, Venu Sports, saying, quote, "We are excited to officially introduce Venu Sports, a brand that we feel captures the spirit of an all-new streaming home where sports fans outside of the traditional pay TV ecosystem can experience an incredible collection of live sports all in one place. As preparations for the platform continue to accelerate, we are singularly focused on delivering a best-in-class product for our target audience, built from the ground up using the latest technologies to engage and entertain discerning sports fans wanting one-stop access to live games." End quote. Whew, that was a lot. This should debut. It's tentatively going to be debuting in the fall of 2024, so like right as the football season's getting started. There's still no announcement on the price. Some people think it looks like it could be anywhere from $35 to $50 a month, which is a lot per month, but considering you're getting, I think it's like 15 or like about a dozen different sports channels, it's cheaper than YouTube TV, which you would just get like a huge offering of channels. That's like $70-ish a month. So this would be cheaper than that. So if you're really just, if you really only keep your cable subscription to watch sports, this might be a way better, more cost-effective, and more efficient way to do so. Let's see here. So, but also, if you remember, I said that they've officially unveiled their potential sports streaming joint venture. And potential, underline, bold, italicize, all caps, potential, because this still has some hurdles to go through before actually launching. So even on the website, there's a banner like at the bottom that reads, quote, "Launch is conditional on receiving regulatory approval and is expected for fall of 2024, end quote. It still needs to go. I think the DOJ has signaled that they're going to have to review this. It could be deemed anti-competitive. Some politicians, I think it's like some congressional Democrats, are already concerned that it may result in, quote, "higher prices for consumers and less fair licensing terms for upstream sports leagues and downstream video distributors," end quote. And we've already seen that in action. So you have Fubo Sports or Fubo TV. I always forget like what comes after Fubo. Fubo is a streaming service that has a bunch of stuff, but primarily was a way to watch these sports channels via streaming. Fubo has sued because their argument is that these companies have already essentially been screwing us by charging us way more, basically like, what is it called? It's like a monopolistic term, like basically colluding with each other to keep the prices really high. And now on top of this, now they're basically going to push us out of the market because they're going to charge us a high fee, and eventually we will just not be able to pay that fee, and that will drive business to Venu Sports. So the government's a little bit concerned. Fubo is very concerned about this. But again, like I said, this could be a huge death blow to traditional cable, right? Like I said in our previous story, which if you're watching this after fact as just a video clip, you should go watch that. The traditional cable is being held together by live news and live sports. Live news is already kind of dubious at this point, and live sports really, I think, is the reason a lot of people still have those subscriptions. But if this is now an option, and Paramount and NBC Universal get involved with it later, this just completely changes everything. It will completely change the way sports fans, especially sports fans under 40, will consume that content. So we talked about the NFL and Netflix making a deal for like just holiday games. Imagine if that was every game. You just open up your streaming app to get that content. We have some comments here. Spencer Twitty writes, that might be fine for casual fans, but if half the games are on cable and half on streaming, serious fans have to pay double. That's also a really great point. Yeah, because right now it's not going to have everything a sports fan's going to want. You're going to probably end up paying more in the long run. But again, at the same time, though, these will absolutely still be simulcast. Because essentially, and this is like a weird quirk about this upcoming app, this Venu Sports, is that it's not just going to be the games. Technically, it will just be the linear feeds of those channels. So Fox Sports, or maybe I should use a different example, but some of these channels have plenty of other content during the day. So like TBS, for example. You're going to theoretically be able to watch TBS content on Venu Sports, like reruns of The Big Bang Theory. Like, it's going to be for everything. So, theoretically, so my point is that it's still simultaneous. So it's basically just pulling the linear channel. So you could not get this, right? You could still just stick with your cable subscription, right? But I think the idea of, and what Disney and Fox and Warner Brothers are hoping for, is that you're incentivized and tantalized by the convenience of not only being a streaming app, so you don't have to fucking switch the input to cable. Okay, what channel was it again? I gotta go and type it and blah, blah, blah. And cable just also sucks, just like I feel like it's never very responsive, just because it's an older technology, right? That's very different than being able to pull up Venu Sports, and everything from those three companies at least, and maybe more down the line, is available to you. It's just available right there at a click of a button. So it will be interesting to see who signs up between casual fans versus more like fanatical fans. I shouldn't use that word. Like people who are a lot more invested in watching sports. It'll be interesting to see what the audience for this app ends up actually being. Viviana writes also, oof, that's true. Maybe showing, I think responding to Spencer, maybe showing on both cable and streaming at the same time. So then it'd just be about platform preference. Sports shouldn't have to be an additional cost. Again, yeah, that's kind of like what I was saying where, ultimately you could just stick with cable, but, again, this is where the industry is going to be moving. So it's just only a matter of time before, my prediction is that if Paramount and NBC Universal don't join this, they will form their own, they'll form their own. So essentially you will be eventually able to watch all of this on some streaming platform. But only time will tell.